Welcome to section 2.14, Dialog boxes. So, in the previous section, we saw that there are two ways to accept user input. One is with the scanner object based on system.in. The other is with dialog boxes. There are two types of dialog boxes: message dialogs and input dialogs. Message dialogs just show a message, and input dialogs show a message but also prompt the user for input. The classes for displaying message dialogs and input dialogs are in the JOptionPane class, and the JOptionPane class is in the javax.swing package. Notice the X in javax. The javax.swing package has a whole bunch of really useful classes for graphical user interfaces. So displaying like windows and all the sorts of things that we're used to in modern programs. You can either import just the JOptionPane class with this statement, import javax.swing.joptionpane, or you can import all the classes in the Swing package by using this wildcard import. So the wildcard import is import javax.swing.star. So if the user enters 127.89 and hits OK, then that'll get stored to a string. Let's call it text. Now that 127.89 is stored to text, we can convert that text to a double. Each of the data types, the primitive data types, including double, has a wrapper class. The wrapper class has the same name as the data type, but starts with a capital letter. Double class's wrapper class is called double with a capital D. And what it allows us to do is to convert text, so a string of text, into a double. The method for doing that is called parse double, and that method is in, it's defined in the double wrapper class, and it's a static method, so we call it on the class itself, not on any object of the class. So here's a call to parse double. Use the class name double.parseDouble, and so that's for calling a static method. We're calling it on the class itself, and then we're going to pass in text. So that method will convert the text to a double, and then over here, after that, we'll store the result in value. Here's a program that shows the use of the JOptionPane show input dialog methods, or method. So we've got JOptionPane.showInputDialog that's going to, and then that's going to get stored to this variable called input string. And then here we've got the integer wrapper class's parseInt method being called, and we're going to pass in input string, the text, and it'll be converted to this int variable hours. Let's use another input dialog to get the user's pay rate. So this input dialog is going to display what is your hourly pay rate, and then that answer will get stored to input string. So we're reusing input string, this time to store their hourly pay rate. Now let's call the parse double method from the double wrapper class, this time to parse input string and convert it to a double. That double will be stored to pay rate. And then it's time to calculate the user's gross pay. So now that we have hours and pay rate, let's calculate the user's gross pay. In this line, a variable gross pay of data type double is being declared, and it's going to store, yes, the product of hours and pay rate. Then let's display the results with the message dialog box. So let's call the showMessageDialog method on the JOptionPane class. By the way, does that look like a static method? Or maybe it's an instance method, which is the opposite of a static method. So is showMessageDialog a static method? Can we tell? Well, it looks like it's being called on the JOptionPane class itself. So yes, and maybe in a second let's look it up to see how we could verify that in the Java docs. But yeah, showMessageDialog is a static method of the JOptionPane class. And this method actually accepts 2 arguments. And so let's just leave the first one as null, comma, which just means, so the first argument being null just means that we're not going to be passing anything to the first argument. And the second argument is what the message dialog will actually display. So it's just kind of arbitrary. Let's have the message dialog display your gross pay is, and then a space and a $sign, and then gross pay. Here's one last note about using GUIs. So really when we use anything from the Swing package, including JOptionPane, that class, but really most classes, a lot of classes in the Swing package are going to require us to actually manually halt, the program so that it doesn't keep running. This is because the main method runs on a different thread than the ones that are displaying the GUI interface. So we have to manually stop things ourselves, so to speak. So at the very end of the main method, if you're using the JOptionPane class, make sure to end the program with a call to system.exit method. Is a method that, as you guessed probably, ends the program. And passing in 0 is an exit code. 0 is an exit code, meaning that the program exited successfully. Result in the double variable. An exit code of 1, on the other hand, would indicate that something bad happened. Let's go ahead and run this program. Over in NetBeans, let's make a new project. Let's call it input example 2. And I'll go ahead and select all, and I'll just paste the code from the notes. And I'll change the package from gross pay to input example 2. And let's change the class name from input example2.java to payroll dialog.java to match the class name. Okay, and then I'll just hit Control S to save it. And let's right click the file name to run it. And here we're seeing the input dialog box being displayed. It's asking us how many hours did we work. Let's go ahead and enter 40. I hit enter, and now we see the input dialog box, another input dialog box, which is, this one is asking us, what is your hourly pay rate? So let's enter 15.00, or even, let's give ourselves a little raise, 15.25. And then hit OK. And now we're seeing a message dialog box being displayed that is informing us that our gross pay is $610.